Hello and welcome to the March 16th edition of Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder, the most hardcore motorsports program on the internet. This is episode 251 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and on this special edition of the program, we'll be talking about IndyCar, NASCAR, Trans Am, the NHRA, Supercross, Formula One, and whatever other motorsports news pops into the conversation.
This is a busy week for IMSA as the series returns to the historic Sebring International Raceway for the 70th 12 Hours of Sebring. Tristan Nunez will make his return to Performance Tech Motorsports for this weekend's Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, joining Christopher Allen and Robert Moe, in the team's LMP3 class. How do you even practice that word? Anyways, JSP320 Nissan.
The former Mazda factory driver is now driving a Ligier, who most recently had stints with Action Express Racing and PR1 and Mathiasen Motorsports, rejoins the Florida-based team where he got his prototype racing start in IMSA Prototype Challenge competition. He's a friend of the show. We wish him the best of luck this weekend. Allen is the only driver to continue with the team following third-place class finish in January's Rolex 24 at Daytona. I'll be heading up the road for the event tomorrow. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at ForWarPlums, that's FABORPLUMBS, for coverage. I'll also be providing coverage on SpeedwayDigest.com, as well as probably on the Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder Facebook page, probably next week.
Pirelli is reinforcing its commitment to North American racing in 2023 with large-scale involvement and tire distribution to both global and domestic competitions taking place across the continent. Pirelli is set to participate in 10 major North American motorsport championships, with almost 40 Pirelli and partner personnel committed to over 100 races, supplying more than 30,000 tires throughout the course of the season. Drawing from more than a century of its own history within the industry, Pirelli continues to leverage motorsports as an extension of its research and development work. Only by pushing the limits of its competitive performance on the track can Pirelli's ultra-high-performance tires be ideated and built for the road. This open-air laboratory approach fosters innovation globally for Pirelli through North America, provides a unique opportunity with all but one major competition's vehicles closely resembling the makeup of street vehicles. Through its extensive relationships with more than 350 racing championships worldwide, Pirelli is positioned as one of the industry's top research and development investors via motorsports that allow for its competitive products to be as closely aligned to road car tires as possible.
As Pirelli's longest-standing motorsports involvement globally since its inception as a tire maker, the 2023 season is an especially exciting year for Formula One in North America, with 3 Grand Prix being hosted in the United States, Miami, Austin, and Las Vegas, and 2 more split between Montreal, Canada, and Mexico City, Mexico. The introduction of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which fills the penultimate spot in the schedule this year, will take place November 18th. It's November 13th, isn't it? And mark the second consecutive Grand Prix to be introduced to the United States in as many years. Synonymous with Pirelli's growth in North America in motorsports, Formula One is an expansion on the continent, is the next stop in meshing global motorsports history with America's unique automotive tradition. Pirelli continues to supply tires to ultra-competitive SRO series and, in turn, some of the top manufacturers around the globe. The wide array of GT racing includes championships dedicated to GT3, GT2, GT4, and touring cars. The 2023 race season kicked off with GT America powered by AWS on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, with the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg and Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS on March 3rd through the 5th. The whole of SR Motorsports America, Fanatec Road Challenge America, presented by AWS, Pirelli GT4 America, TC America powered by Skip Barber Racing School, and GT America powered by AWS, then take on the Sonoma Raceway March 30th through April 2nd. The North American collection takes on 9 of the United States' top race circuits in 2023 in total. The season concludes at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the SRO Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli, playing host to its penultimate round, the Indianapolis 8-hour, presented by AWS.
Pirelli now enters its second year providing 18-inch tires for the Trans Am Series TA class, which will continue to provide valuable feedback for road care tire development as it simultaneously raises the ceiling of speed, performance, and intensity for competing drivers. This marks the 7th season since Pirelli and Trans Am began their motorsports partnership and represents a major step for Pirelli in its ongoing journey to strengthen bonds with the manufacturers of America's classic performance muscle cars and the broader car culture. Together with the Trans Am races, Pirelli is also involved with the SVRA, the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association. The SVRA is the largest vintage racing organization in the United States, open to virtually any vintage or historic race car, and it will share a number of key dates with the Trans Am Series as part of the Speed Tour.
Pirelli North America has signed a new 3-year extension to supply racing tires for the growing Morgan Performance Cup MPG Sports Car Tour, which includes the 2023 9 weekends with the first race starting at Spring Mountain, April 21st through 23rd. Since the inception of GT Celebration Series in 2019, Pirelli has been a major partner with the sports car campaign. It includes GT3, GT4, LMP3, Porsche Cup, and BMW M2 machinery. And the tour hasn't strayed from their core value of creating a quality, fun-run group designed for sports car racing, designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Heading into their 4th season, the MPG Series entered the 2023 sports car season with some exciting new developments with 4 divisions, including GT Celebration with 3 classes, Prototype Celebration with 2 classes, Cup Celebration with 4 classes, and M2 Celebration, which also has 3 classes, that will race on historic racetracks such as Sonoma Raceway, Virginia International Raceway, and Watkins Glen.
Pirelli North America signed another 3-year contract extension with the International GT, a North American racing series for Ferrari and Porsche models made up of the Stuttgart Cup, Mission Foods GT3 Cup Trophy, and the Maranello Cup Championships. This will bring the partnership well over the decade mark, as the Pirelli's rubber first hit the track for International GT in 2014. Similar to the SVRA racing calendar, the 10-month-long 2023 schedule for the International GT kicked off in Sebring from February 23rd to the 26th and wraps up in early December at one of the pillars of American motorsports heritage in Daytona International Speedway. Key parts of the Pirelli USA program are also the P0 equipped single-make championships, including the Ferrari Challenge and the Championship of the Porsche Club of America.
The Ferrari Challenge North America kicked off at Miami Homestead Speedway on March 1st through the 5th, and traverses the continent with races at several iconic tracks, such as Road America, Sonoma Raceway, and Circuit of the Americas. The Championship of the Porsche Club of America, in partnership with Pirelli, will bring together about the PCA's 175,000 members to cheer on more than 2,000 licensed racers competing across a similar bevy of historic racetracks, including Watkins Glen International in upstate New York, Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California, and several others. As the title sponsor of this single-make motorsport series, Pirelli continues to build on a strong partnership with Porsche that spans decades of both competitive and road car collaborations. The PCA Club racing season began on February 3rd at Sebring.
Pirelli also continues to support the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb and will have a significant presence in this year's rendition of the American Motorsports Classic. More news to follow on Pikes Peak as the event draws closer.
We were supposed to have some guys on from Pikes Peak last season. It just didn't happen to work out. We have talked to other drivers who competed in the series in the past. We talked to Laurie Unser past, who've been in Pikes Peak. So it should be a good race this year, and hopefully we get the chance to talk to some of those people as the event gets closer. Our guest tonight is Pirelli's North American Motorsports Manager, Orazio Mastracchio, to discuss Pirelli's plans for the year and to gather insights on all the moving pieces that make motorsports championships successful behind the scenes. Let's see if we can go ahead and connect him to the program, shall we? Let's see if this works. We're now pleased to welcome Orazio to the show. Can you hear me, sir? I see he's in the studio. He's sitting there listening. I did invite him as a speaker, but I can't hear him yet. Try one more time here. Hello, Orazio. How are you doing this evening, sir? It says you're connected, but I can't hear you, sir. Can you try again, please? Nope. Mr. Mastracchio, are you there, sir? I see you're in the studio, but I don't hear you, and I've pressed the connection button, and apparently you are connected, but you're not connected. Let's go ahead and give him a minute, see if it works. This show is not unfamiliar with gremlins who have come into our program in the past and wreaked havoc with things. Mostly they were on the Blog Talk Radio platform, but apparently they're coming tonight on Podbean Live as well. We are hoping to have Orazio Mastracchio on here. We've worked with his people. We've worked with trying to get him connected before. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working right now. Let me see if I can send him a quick message here. Hold on 1 second. I did just ask him to reconnect him. Hopefully, I can't hear him. Can he hear me? He can hear us. Let's try one more time. Hello, Mr. Mastracchio. I know you can hear me, but can you try saying something? I cannot hear you. Nope. Again, we're trying to connect with Orazio Mastracchio, the Pirelli North American Motorsports Manager. He's going to try reconnecting now. We'll see how that goes. While we're standing by, as I stated, I'm going to be heading up to Sebring tomorrow for the 12 hours of Sebring, as well as the 1,000 miles of Sebring, which is being held tomorrow. It's the FIA World Endurance Championship event. Should be pretty cool. We may not stay for the entire event. We never really have. But we'll go and see how it goes, and hopefully we get him connected now. Let's see. Here we go. Why does it say that he's connected twice? Mr. Mastracchio, can you hear me now, sir? I'm pretty sure you can hear me, but I can't hear you. That is, of course, the problem with some of these apps is sometimes they get a little buggy, and sometimes they just don't connect as well. He can hear us, which is great. We cannot hear him, which isn't great. So let's go ahead and try again here. He's going to try reconnecting one more time. Again, we are trying to connect with Orazio Mastracchio. If we're not able to connect tonight, we'll have to try again in the future. But we're trying. So it's all we can do, isn't it? Again, we do have a lot of great people lined up here. We're going to have the the guys from Farah on in the future shortly. They'll probably be on. We got somebody else in the live studio now. Let's see. Try one more time. It keeps telling me I connected, but I can't hear you. Can we try again? Can you hear me now, sir? Pretty sure you can hear me, but I still can't hear you. Let me give it one more shot. Alright, why admin do I? Well, let's see if we can admin. No, we're good. Okay, he's going to try connecting through his PC as opposed to connecting through the phone. So let's see if that works. I know that is one of the options for connecting. Haven't really had a lot of luck for that, but sometimes you do what you gotta do. So again, we're trying to speak with Orazio Mastracchio, the Pirelli North American Motorsports Manager. Pirelli, as you heard in the intro, Pirelli has a lot of stuff going on this year. So let's go ahead and see if we can. He disconnected again. Now he's back on again. Hopefully he can connect via his microphone from his computer. We're going to go ahead and try one more time. Don't know if it's going to work, but we're giving it a shot anyway. Doesn't seem like it's working, but we're giving it a shot anyway. Again, we do have a lot of stuff planned for this program here. We've got a lot of great guests coming up in the future. Trying to connect, of course, with Orazio Mastracchio this evening. That doesn't seem to be working very well, but we're giving it a shot. We do have had a call this afternoon, in fact, with the new PR guy from Moto America. So we have some amazing stuff coming up with Moto America this season. We're hopefully going to be going to at least one race. I did miss the Daytona 200 weekend this past weekend, but the call wasn't scheduled until today. So we'll see how that goes. We might be going up to Atlanta. More than likely, we'd be going to the Barber Motorsports Park for that race. So looks like Orazio was dropped one more time. So let's go ahead and see if we're actually going to get him back on this time. This is getting a little annoying, but it happens, and the Gremlins do have a chance to follow us here to Podbean Live. And let's see here. He is in the live studio. It says he's connected. Let's see if we can hear him. Hello, can you hear me? I cannot hear you, but can you hear me? Honestly, I don't know why it's not connecting. I do know that we do have an excellent connection on our end, and it's not seeming to connect well with him, though. Anyway, like I stated, we're trying to connect, of course, tonight with Pirelli's North American Motorsports Manager, Orazio Mastracchio. We're probably going to go ahead and give it one more shot here, press the button one more time. If it doesn't work this time, we'll have to try again either next week or the following week. Let's try one more time here. Let's see. Maybe you I know there's a telephone icon on the app there. That we're going to see if we can hit the telephone icon and see if that does something. I know it's helped before by hitting the telephone icon. That's like a call into the show. It's sort of an old-fashioned type thing, but it is through the app, and it should work. If not, we'll see. Again, we've had a fair share of gremlins here this year on Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder. We do have one great interview, awesome, that was on the air with Greg Galding, in fact. That was a few weeks ago. Be sure to check that out at speedwaydigest.podbean.com. I just saw that I had a connection thing. Let's go ahead and do it this way. Seems like it's going to work. Hello, how you doing, sir? It says it did something, but I still can't hear you. Hello, Orazio Mastracchio. Can you hear me now, sir? Anyway, I heard I had the little connection thing pop up on my screen to allow call-ins. I pressed the button to allow the call-in, and it did not connect. It just sort of went immediately and disconnected. I apologize to Orazio Mastracchio, as well as to the team there at Pirelli North America, and to the publicist there who contacted me. We're going to go ahead and try again, though. See if we can get him connected this time. See if we can go ahead and hit the little call button. It says the call just ended, so he's going to try again, and we'll see if we can get this going. Here, let's hear it. Hello, it says you're a speaker now. Can you hear me, sir? I still can't hear you, though. Still can't hear you. Huh. That's not good. That's weird, in fact. Well, obviously, we're having some problems here, technical issues. That does happen. And something is not working on his end, on my end, on some end somewhere. But we're going to go ahead and see if I'll go ahead and email the PR guy who I dealt with for Pirelli North America. And we'll see if we can get this reconnected either next week or more likely a couple of weeks down the road, because next week I have some other business to take care of. But we'll see if we're able to do it next week. That would be great. If we're able to try it again the following week, that would work perfectly as well. Again, we're going to apologize for not being able to talk about Pirelli North America. We did have some great questions for him, but it just didn't happen to work out this evening. What I'm going to do also, for those of you who are still interested in listening to Orazio Mastracchio, and in addition to trying to get him back on the show, we're going to go ahead and send his PR guy the questions we have prepared for him this evening. We did send out a rough script. We do have quite a few questions. We're probably going to end up with a few more, as we normally do. But I'll go ahead and send those out via emails. We're going to post something on speedwaydigest.com as soon as we get the answers to those questions back. And we'll see. Hopefully, we're able to talk to Mr. Mastracchio in the near future. That being said, we don't always have these gremlins on Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder. So if you're a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner, maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport, contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 15 minutes of fame, and we would love to hear from you. So as I stated, this weekend we're going to be going up to Sebring. Tomorrow anyway, probably on Saturday. It really depends on the weather. Because I personally, and my father especially, do not like standing out in the pouring rain anymore for races. I've done that enough. He's definitely done that enough, and it's just really not worth it. But tomorrow's supposed to be a great weather day there in Sebring for the 12 hours of Sebring qualifying and practice, as well as the 1,000 miles of Sebring, which is the FIA WEC. That'll be pretty cool to see. So we'll see that. I'm looking forward to again seeing Tristan Nunez, who is racing for Performance Tech. Tristan has been a great fan of the show. I think he's been on here 4 times now. He's also done some appearances for us, which is pretty awesome. He did an appearance at a harness racing event several years back, which is pretty cool. And I'd love to have him back on the show. I'm going to reach out to him as much as I can, because I know since his career has gone kind of in a backward slide recently, that he's probably going to need to talk to someone about that sort of thing. And I'm hoping that someone is us, because we're we had a really good rapport with Tristan. Hopefully, I get to see him tomorrow and maybe on Saturday, and we'll try and work something out. So hopefully it works out. I want to see what his future plans entail. If he's able to tell us anything about his future plans, I'm pretty sure that the deal with Performance Tech is a one-race deal. So we'll see how that goes. But should be interesting. Should be a great weekend of racing. They've got a lot of awesome prototypes there. They've got drivers from all over the world. I'm going to take lots of pictures again and post them on my Instagram, which is instagram.com/FABORPLUMBS. I will try and get at least a few pictures of different cars. No guarantees, but I'll try and get a few good pictures and post them up on there as I get them. I'll also be posting them, of course, on the Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder page, so be sure to check that out there. You can find that by going to facebook.com/Speedway Digest SD Thursday Night Thunder. That's facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder. So what's going on exciting out in the wonderful Pacific Northwest in the world of motor racing? Anything big news out there recently?
No. We are going to Supercross next weekend in Seattle. Awesome. I can't think of what the field's called that they hold it at, but somewhere at that, I think it's Lumen Field or Lumen Stadium. I don't know, whichever one they play football at, but so we're going to do that. And my nephew's been pestering me about going to I think it's the Apple Cup, which is the beginning of April, but so there's a few events coming up. Now it's just kind of picking which ones we want to go to.
I know they're going to have a Formula E event out there this year. That should be pretty interesting. That was pretty cool. We saw that in Miami, and it'll be pretty awesome to see out there in Portland this year. So I'm not sure exactly when that is, but I did see information that they're going to be running that in Portland. And I know that is the only Formula E event in the United States this year is at the Portland Raceway. So.
Wow. Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything about that, so I'm actually going to Google that after the show.
Should be an interesting event. We've talked to a lot of the people who are involved in Formula E. Some of the drivers are still involved. A lot of the team owners are still the same. There's been some additions, of course, and there will be more additions definitely in the future. So that's really a good stepping stone for people to get involved in the world of electric racing. And we're going to talk to Mr. Mastracchio a little bit more about that. We'll go ahead and get into that with him on the online interview we're going to be posting on SpeedwayDigest.com. And hopefully, like I said, we're going to try and get him back on the show in a couple of weeks. The next big motorsports thing that I talked about, I had the opportunity today to talk to a guy from Moto America, one of their PR guys. So that was pretty interesting. Moto America, for those of you who don't know, is where they do the motorcycles. They're used to be known as super bikes. They also have the King of the Baggers, which are sort of like the road bikes between Harley and Indian. Do a lot of writing of stuff about Indian motorcycle, both on the over the road things for normal people to buy as well as for the racing programs. So it'd be kind of cool to see those guys in person. So that'll be neat. You mentioned you're going to go to the Supercross event. I know that the new chief of operations for Supercross is Joey Chitwood III, who used to be the president of the Daytona National Speedway. So he's bringing some new amazing stuff to the Supercross land, and hopefully it'll be a great event out there in Seattle. That was actually the race I was planning on going to in 2020 when the whole world started falling apart. We were going to be flying out there to Seattle for the Supercross race. They had that all slated, and shortly before that, everything started falling apart, and then it just the bottom fell out. And everybody remembers that. Not only did the bottom fall out of racing, the bottom fell out of this program for several months. And so that was an interesting time, but hopefully it's a great race there in Seattle. I'm also going to be traveling out to Seattle in a few months, so that'll be interesting. Actually, it's less than 6 weeks now. I'll be traveling out to Seattle, so it'll be kind of cool to head up there for a couple of days before our last cruise, which we're going to be talking a little bit more about, not only on this program briefly, but the for Warplum's Fantastic Finds, my blog site, my travel site, which I might end up swapping out shortly. Um, so we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about that. When we do that, we're going to be posting a lot of pictures from Alaska, hopefully with my new Insta360 X3 camera, which I'm working on a partnership with Insta360. So that's kind of interesting as well. Um, Working on getting some exclusive stuff from them. Some of it motorcycle related. Everybody loves motorcycles now, so that'll be cool. But Insta360, I'm working on them as a partner as well. And as I talked about last week briefly, we do have the car cover partnership that we worked on with carcovers.com. So be sure to look out for that. We're going to be posting some pictures of the cover for the Ford Maverick XLT Hybrid. I'll be posting pictures of that within the next 3 weeks, hopefully. Knock on fake pressed board here, that the truck does come in on time. So we'll be posting pictures of the new car cover for the Ford Maverick. So that should be quite interesting. I know Ford does have some supply chain issues still, but according to the dealer, the truck has been manufactured and it is on the way here via rail. It's going to take a couple weeks. Anytime between the 1st and the 7th of April, I will take delivery of a brand new 2023 Ford Maverick XLT. Hopefully, again, knock on the pressed board thing again. So that's what's up in my world here. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff about the Ford Maverick shortly. Let's see, we got Orazio back in the live studio. Let's try again. Can you hear me now, sir?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can actually hear you. Wow, there we go. So let's go ahead and
I changed phone. I changed cell phone.
No problem. Let's go ahead and backtrack a little bit here and go back to your questions. In the intro, we tried to hit on every series that Pirelli is involved with in North America. What's your favorite series you will get to work with here?
Well, as a kid, I was always fascinated. I was always fascinated about Trans Am. I mean, the muscle American cars. I grew up in Canada. Was born and raised in Canada. My dad, my mom came from Italy. My dad is a mechanic. I was raised in a shop, and the only thing my dad repaired was mostly GM and Ford and Chrysler cars. So I'm kind of into that muscle car thing.
Which driver, and you've been with the series for quite some time now, which driver has been your best for you to work with personally?
Well, honestly, basically, I deal with drivers when we do tire testing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the Chris Dyson, Rafa Matos, these are drivers that have lots of experience. Very good driver to give you feedback. Basically, when you're developing tires, that's what you need. You need a lot of feedback from the driver, and you need to be able to communicate. But there's also other drivers that I like out there. I mean, most of the drivers, to do motorsports, to race cars at those speeds, and to have that much attention in a car, you need to be good. And I lift my hat to all the drivers out there.
I know you have the chance to go to all different tracks all across the country. Which one's been your favorite one?
Honestly, my favorite one is Laguna Seca.
Okay.
It's a fast track, a lot of up and downs, hilly. Especially the corkscrew is a fantastic curve. Um, I would say that would be my favorite track in the U.S. Then if you go to Canada, Mont Tremblant, which is an hour away from my house, is a track that I went often at a younger age. I did some club events there, and it's nice. In Europe, well, if you've been at Spa, that track is beautiful.
Hmm.
So
We've talked a lot on this program, especially recently, about the fact that it seems like there's a little bit of constriction in, especially local tracks. I know down here we've had the Palm Beach International Raceway, which was a mainstay of motorsports, both grassroots motorsports and the testing for NHRA, as well as some SCCA races out there and some motorcycle events. That recently closed out in my co-host's neck of the woods in Ephrata, Washington. Her local speedway there is shut down. Um, how do you think that's? Why do you think that is? First off, and how do you think we can get more people interested in motorsports and try and restore the what's the shrinking market for racing in the United States?
Well, the way I see it is a racetrack is the safest place for people to enjoy their performance cars. Cars are getting more and more quicker. There's more technology in them. They're faster. They have lots of braking power. You know, our streets are made to commute.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the only way for younger guys and also for older gentlemen to be able to try their sports car, Porsches, Corvettes, Ferraris, Jaguars, or any of the new electric cars. I think we need to support our racetracks, and the only way to support them is to go there on weekends and do activities.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned briefly the electric cars. How do you think racing is going to evolve? How do you think it has to evolve as we transition to the age of electric vehicles?
Well, I think motorsport is always going to be a niche market for combustion engine, but I think eventually, the more we move ahead with times, I think we're going to have no choice but to start having more and more electric car racing. Yes, it's different. Yes, I mean, it's a different game, different strategies. So I think slowly we're gonna have no choice to adapt to it, and also the performance of the tires we're gonna have to change. The
Mm-hmm.
technology of the tires are gonna have to change. Electric car is heavier, so
Yeah.
it has more torque. So the whole design behind the tire is gonna have to adapt itself.
Well, let me go ahead and throw you out to my co-host, Mykkal Mulalley Kapalo in Ephrata, Washington, who has some questions for you as well.
Yes.
So, my first question for you tonight: what has been your favorite event that you have enjoyed being a part of the most?
Oh, a winter rally. I mean, for those who don't follow rally, listeners who don't follow rally, it's quite an experience. The fans and the teams and the racers that rally have this passion that it's not describable. I mean, I went to a winter rally, and there was so much atmosphere. People in the middle of the woods making fires, camping in the middle of the winter for 2 days just to see, you know, 5 seconds of a car, uh, you know, driving 100 miles an hour in a tight iced road.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fascinating. I would say the winter rally I assisted was amazing.
That sounds fun. What is the
Yeah.
process to make a Pirelli tire?
Uh, very very technical, especially a racing tire. If we look at the SRO championship, where we have GT3 cars, GT4 cars, and also TC cars, which is not a mono brand. So you have multiple brands. You have front engine GT3 cars. You have mid engine GT3 cars. You have rear engine GT3 cars. So to produce one tire that adapts itself to all the different platforms is very complex, because you need to be able to satisfy the 911, which is very rear heavy and front light, and then the same tires need to work on a Ferrari, which is a well balanced car. So to produce that, there's a lot of R&D involved in it. There's a lot of work with the manufacturers to be able to find a good balance for everybody. So it's very complex and it takes years of development.
And then my final question for you this evening, could we potentially see Pirelli start producing motorcycle tires one day?
We actually produce motorcycle tires. We've been producing motorcycle tires for probably early 70s, mid 70s. We have bicycle tires also. We have motorcycle tires for scooters. Um, we actually own the Metzeler brand. We have also tires for racing bikes. So yeah, we have a diversity of product for motorcycles.
Can you tell us if there's any plans for future expansion of Pirelli into other series?
Absolutely. We always try to expand the market, especially in the U.S., where we just starting to have our feet wet in motorsport. We have new products coming in 2024 that's going to cater more to the U.S. market, mostly for club racing. But yes, and we want to try to also get maybe involved in vintage racing. All the old Formula 13, 15-inch tires. Yes.
I know you mentioned your favorite race was a winter rally. Are you interested? Is Pirelli planning on doing any work for the with the Nitro Rallycross series? I know there've been a lot of announcements from them recently about new partners and new things they're trying to work into that series.
We have a product that would fit those cars, but we're still developing the product. Definitely, there is interest in doing that, but we need to validate the product, and we need to see what all the constraints are, and so forth.
If you had a chance to have a Pirelli tire on any race car in any series in the world that is currently not on, which series would that be?
Probably NASCAR.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I know that. I know NASCAR a few years ago had the little bit of the tire thing between Goodyear and Firestone that didn't last very long. The same sort of thing in
yeah,
IndyCar, but it'd be
yeah.
nice to have some sort of competition between the tire manufacturers and NASCAR, because that just adds another level of intrigue into the sport, and it seems like with NASCAR nowadays they need as much intrigue as they can get.
Yeah, tire competition is great for the show, but it's very expensive because after every race you're in the factory developing tires to be able to outperform your competitor at the next race. So a lot of tire manufacturers are streaming away from that type of competition.
I know with the say with the Trans Am series, about how many tires do you bring does Pirelli bring with them for that racing weekend?
It depends on the races, but between the rain tires and the TA2, and I would say the GT class, we bring around 2,000 to 3,000 pieces per race.
Awesome. And one more question: if my listeners are interested in more information about Pirelli, both in the motorsport side as well as the possibility of getting Pirellis for their street car, where would they go for that information?
www.pirelli.com.
Okay. Well, I'd like to
And
thank you
then
very much
they,
for
yep.
thank you very much for coming on the show this evening. I know it was a little bit of a technical glitch there here and there, but you finally got on, and it was great to have you on the
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was
program.
a
Thanks for
pleasure
trying.
talking about motorsport. Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
evening, and
you.
thank you again. Once again, that was Orazio Mastracchio, the the guy who's in charge of Pirelli's North American motorsports. It's pretty awesome to get to talk to him. We got to learn a little bit more about Pirelli, a little bit more about the tires, a little bit more about the future. So hopefully that works out pretty well. How do you feel about the penalties that took place last weekend in NASCAR with Hendrick and the fact they dropped out of the top 10 and basically into the lower 20s in points in NASCAR?
I didn't quite understand the reasoning. I know it seems like there's a lot of mixed reviews about it, but I didn't quite understand why they got penalized.
Well, they were the only team that had those sort of louvers in the car, which is kind of strange. So something is up there. Um, Whether it's something that was nefarious between Hendrick and his people, which I wouldn't put beyond them, or whether it's some sort of mistake. And NASCAR definitely doesn't think of a mistake. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes with the appeal. But it's a huge deal for points. It'll be a pretty bad deal that they'll have to big hole they'll have to dig themselves out of for the rest of the season. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, now that you kind of explained it a little better, I don't know. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. But it is a little bit strange that they were the only team that had them in the car. So I guess we'll see what happens.
In 2015, I had the chance. I think you probably remember a little bit. But I had the chance to go to Hendrick Motorsports for a media event there, and it's quite amazing the stuff they do there, the technology they tried, and even that many years ago, to work on and try and squeeze every little bit of advantage out of the stuff they had at that time. Um, I'm sure it's just one of those sort of things they tried to squeeze a little bit too hard, and it came back and bit them.
Yeah. Yeah, just it's crazy. It seems like it's a little bit early in the season for them to be losing a bunch of points like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same sort of thing happened in IMSA. If you followed that at all, if you didn't, that's okay. But the winner of the 24 Hours of Daytona, Meyer Shank Racing, just lost a ton of points. They had a big fine. They lost their team engineer permanently for basically fudging the numbers for their tires, for the pressure they had in the tires over the 24-hour period, and and they blame the engineer. They say, yeah, it's just the one engineer guy. It's not the one engineer guy. The drivers have to be able to feel the the pressure changes. If you change the tire pressure by less than a pound, they know. If you change it by less than a pound in your own car, street car, you'll be able to tell. If you change it by less than a pound in a race car, it definitely makes a huge difference. So it seems like everybody's trying to push the system, and the system this year anyway is pushing back.
I guess it's going to make for a very, very interesting race season.
Yeah, it will. And it's still very early. This is only the second race of IMSA. It's less than what 5 races in with NASCAR this week, so it'll be a long season. And I'm sure that these controversies are not the first ones, and they'll definitely not be the last ones that we'll hear from this year. So there's also the thing with Denny Hamlin, NASCAR, where he stated he was going to run into the guy. He ended up running into the guy and lost 25 points and I think $25,000, which is nothing for Hamlin, but still, uh, every bit helps. And every bit hurts too. So looks like NASCAR is trying to police these guys a little bit stronger. IMSA is trying to police their people a little bit stronger, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see how long that lasts, and we'll see whether in the end it makes any difference at all. I'm sure with uh, with Hendrick especially, it's going to make a big difference in the points at the end of the season. With Meyer Shank, not necessarily as much because they do have a shorter season and the points are a lot different in IMSA. But it'll be something, and it'll make it more interesting. It'll definitely give you something to talk about and something to watch, especially people who are interested more in the technical side of racing. It's something that you got to keep an eye on and see, make sure they're following in the rule book and keeping a level playing field. That's part of the deal with professional racing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Did,
it'll be interesting.
did you ever have any problem with rules violations in your racing career? Anybody you know or anything like that got digged by the local track for trying to push the rules a little bit too far?
It's funny because when we first started racing, we printed out the rules and we did our absolute best to be as in there as we could be. And then after we got going, we kind of realized not everybody was following the rules. And so I guess you could say we kind of started trying to push our luck a little bit more once we realized, hey, they don't actually tech every night, and they don't actually check for this, and they don't check for that. But it's that one time when you do try to pull a fast one that they do tend to check. So it's almost really just not worth it. It's almost not worth trying to pull a fast one. Just follow the rules.
Yeah. I follow the New Smyrna Speedway on Facebook a little bit, and they've had some issues recently with tires where people are trying to adjust the tire pressures, trying to adjust the compounds, trying to adjust all that sort of stuff, and and they actually New Smyrna Speedway actually sends their tires out. The people who win, they send their tires out to a lab, and they run tests and pressure tests and thickness tests and all sorts of things. So everybody's trying to make sure that the rules are even for everybody, and all the race teams are trying to push just as hard to try and get that little teeny tiny edge. And they're running so close to that edge that sometimes if they go over it, and if they go over it and they get caught, it's not good for the teams at all. And I think that some of these teams are being used as examples, not only in NASCAR and IMSA, but in the local tracks as well. So it'll be interesting. And with the fact that there are fewer local tracks now than there used to be, and the tracks are being more stringent, it'll be interesting to see how that changes the people who compete there. Whether it makes them more interested in coming because they know that it's going to be a more fair race, and everybody has to play by the rules, or whether it has a negative impact and people are used to just go out there and say, heck, this is my car and I'm going to do what I want to do. Will decide that it's not worth it anymore. So that's one of those races interesting. So they have to keep an eye on whether they're pushed too hard and scare people away, or they push just hard enough and they get more people who are interested in it.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I remember early on in our racing days, there was a car next to us, and his dad was willingly telling us, like openly telling us everything that they did to cheat, and we were like, oh, like, okay. And he said, it's not cheating, it's competing. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it sounds good, but I mean, it's still cheating. But I don't know, it's always stuck with me. It's not cheating, it's competing.
Exactly. My father, he used to do some work for Roger Penske on his yacht. I had the chance to do a little bit as well in the early 2000s. But one of the things that Roger Penske always said to him and to his team, to his crew, is that they're fighting for the unfair advantage. They're fighting as hard as they can to read the rule book just good enough so they get a little bit more than everybody else. But so that's their thing. They're fighting for the unfair advantage. But it'll be interesting this weekend. Should be great racing there in Sebring tomorrow for the 1,000 miles. I don't know how good the race is going to be on Saturday because the weather forecast is still really iffy for Saturday. It could be a dry race for most of it. It could be raining from the time they drop the green flag on Saturday morning. So I know the teams are going to be talking about that tomorrow. They're probably thinking about that this evening. They're watching 5 different forecasts, and whichever one they think is the best, they'll probably go with a different one and plan that way. But it should be a really good race. I'd advise you to check it out. It's going to be at USA on Saturday. Tomorrow's race, the 1,000 miles of Sebring, is on the Motor Trend Network. You can also get that through the Motor Trend app. I might end up watching a little bit at the end of it tomorrow when I get home, depending on how much time we spend out there. But it should be a great weekend of racing. Hopefully it's an amazing thing. NASCAR also is racing this weekend. Honestly, let's see where NASCAR is going to be. Put that here. NASCAR is going to be at Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend. That's kind of awesome. They're going to be racing tomorrow, I believe. Yes. They're racing tomorrow actually, they're not racing tomorrow. They're two races on Saturday. They got the Xfinity race and the Truck Series race on Saturday. The Craftsman Truck Series race starts at 2. The Xfinity race starts at 5. That's on Saturday 18th. Sunday is the Cup Series race. The M Better Health 400 will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. So be sure to check that out as well. Should be a great weekend of racing. Hopefully everything is safe and there's nobody who's pushing the envelope a little too hard and trying to get that unfair advantage, because it's just not fair to their other competitors. That being said, we've actually almost filled out the entire hour this week, which is great. And hopefully we got to have another great show coming up next week. As I stated, I'm not entirely sure we're going to be having a show next week, but I know we're going to be having it in 2 weeks. So should be a great program. Nonetheless, we've got a bunch of amazing people we're trying to schedule, including people like Grace Hagan, who's a motocross racer. I know we've been talking a lot of motorcycles, but two-wheel racing is important, especially now during Bike Week. Bike Week was last week, and they had some amazing stuff there in Daytona. So if you didn't get a chance to check that out, look on YouTube. You can find information about the Daytona 500, about the King of the Baggers, and about the Supercross event that was held there at Daytona National Speedway. Those were all pretty cool events. I'm pretty sure if you look close enough, you can even find information about the coleslaw wrestling they had it as part of Bike Week. And they had the Wall of Death there as well. That was at another venue as part of Bike Week too. So always interesting stuff up there. It's almost a little too interesting, a little too rowdy at times for me, but might get a chance to go there next year. You never know. Always thinking of new options. Be sure to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder, as well as the other shows on the Speedway Digest Radio Network at speedwaydigest.podbean.com. You can also check out the show on Facebook by searching for Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder in the search bar. I also invite you to read articles covering all aspects of motorsports at speedwaydigest.com. I got a ton of stuff to publish this weekend in the racing news section, as well as maybe a couple NASCAR stories again. More than likely not. More than likely it'll just be in the racing news section. As I stated, be sure to check out the why you need a car cover. That's in the featured news section. It's also in the racing news section of speedwaydigest.com. Car covers are important, especially with the current weather situation and the hard rain and all the snow and all the other pollen and everything that's going on in the country weather-wise. None of it's good for your paint job, so be sure to check out this story I did on car covers and why you need a car cover, why car covers are important. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our slice of paradise at my blog site, Forborplum's Fantastic Finds. It can be found on Facebook by searching for Forborplum's Fantastic Finds. That's FABORPLUMBS, Fantastic Finds. Be found on Twitter. The easiest way to find it on Twitter is either by going at Forborplums, FABORPLUMBS, or at PB Happening. That's at PBHAPPENING. Those are where all the stories of Forborplum's Fantastic Finds are posted. And also by heading directly to the website, which is forborplumsfantasticfinds.wordpress.com. That's FABORPLUMBS fantasticfinds.wordpress.com.
Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week, or maybe the week after, in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing.
Have a great night, and thanks for listening.